And so it happened that as a way of helping people get to know each other in the new Archdiocese of Anchorage, the Archbishop brought representatives from various parishes and asked them to bring something with them that represented their parish. So the first person gets up and says, "Hi, I'm from St. Mary's in Kodiak, and this is a rosary of Our Lady." And that was very edifying. The second came up and said, "Hi, I'm from St. Benedict's in Jewel Lake, and this is a St. Benedict's medal." Very good. And then the third gets up and says, "Hi, I'm from St. Patrick's in Muldoon, and this is a casserole and a plate of cookies for the potluck." In the 27 years I've been a priest, I've been to my share of potlucks. One of the best ones was for a guy named Bobby. Bobby was great. Bobby had Down syndrome. Great guy. Was ordained on his deathbed. Ordained. He certainly could have been. He was baptized on his deathbed. And but Bobby's job is he worked with a restaurant supply company, and he would help to make the deliveries to all of the finest restaurants in Anchorage, and everybody of the fine. Think of all the best restaurants, Marx Brothers, all of them. Think of all in Saks, the Corsair when it was still around, and all these things. Think of the best restaurants. They made their, and so when Bobby died, they all came to his funeral. And it was the most amazing potluck you have ever seen. I mean, we had Van's Caesar salad. We had, it was just glorious. I mean, think of the signature dish from every restaurant. That was our potluck. It was great. And it was all because of this one incredible individual. And so you think about that. What would the church be like without potlucks? I mean, they're part and parcel of parish life. Even the smaller gatherings or dinner parties, the guests will often answer the invitation. I've done it, you've done it. They say, "Hey, we're having a small gathering. Why don't you come over next Friday? We'll meet about 6 o'clock. And what's the next thing out of your mouth? What can I bring?" Yeah, right? It's just kind of who we are. It's not that the host is incapable of providing what's needed for the dinner, and absolutely not. But it's it's just different. We ask a question because there's something deep within us that wants to contribute, that wants to bring something to the feast. It enhances the gathering. Also, it's really gratifying, isn't it, when you've made something really fun that you're proud of, and then somebody says, did you bring the beans? Those are magnificent. Give me the recipe for those. And you say, well, it's kind of a secret family recipe that I got off of, the internet. No, but anyway, but it is, it's really great. So this was kind of what was on my mind as we read about the multiplication of the loaves and the fishes in the Gospel of John. Now the crowd is huge. They're tired. It's quite a journey around the lake, and they're hungry. And Philip is very academic. Don't you love Philip in this passage here? He's very academic, because Jesus is, where can we find food? And Jesus, well, Lord, let me tell you. And so he says, 200 days' wages would not be enough. Isn't that a wonderful, erudite answer? Very academic for Philip. Good guy. But because he doesn't know what Jesus is up to. Philip notes, it would take a miracle to feed them all, even a little. Fortunately, a miracle is exactly what Jesus has in mind. And so there's two lessons we can take from this encounter. First and foremost, this is against all you Pelagians out there. I don't know if there's any in our midst here. Our job is not to work the miracle. God is God, and you are not. That is Jesus' job. Rather, our job is simply to bring the bread and the fish. Sometimes the burden of discipleship, might seem too much. The needs seem too great. We're like Philip, or like James. There's a couple of those two fish, but what good are those, The resources might seem too few, but who cares? Who cares? Jesus knows, what we need. Jesus knows what he is doing. And we have something to offer. We each do. None of us comes to the gathering without gifts. When we talk in stewardship, we talk about time, talent, and treasure, but really, we all have something, our superpower, if you will. I have a couple of superpowers. They don't have anything to do with church. I can sleep on airliners. Get me in a seat, wham, out I go. That's one of my superpowers. One of my other superpowers is I can go in any library in the planet, and within 10 minutes I will have found what I need in that library without ever having consulted they don't have card catalogs anymore, but the computer or anything. I can just intuit my way through a library and find what I need. It comes in really handy when you're doing doctoral research, let me tell you. But all silliness aside, none of us comes empty-handed to the party, if you will. We've all got something. No matter how insignificant it may seem, though, when we offer it to Christ, then he can work the miracle he intends. It's part of the difference, I think, between being a disciple of Jesus Christ, that just offering over what we have, what insignificant it seems, just that trusting in Jesus, just that little bit. I think that's the difference. That's one of the keys in the difference between being a disciple of Jesus Christ and simply a consumer of religious goods and services. And we have to make that choice at some point. Lesson number 2 is you cannot outdo God in generosity. Now, how do we know this? There are leftovers. Lots and lots and lots of leftovers. In fact, if you were listening to the first reading, which was again fulfilled in the gospel with Elisha the prophet doing prophet things, multiplying, thus says the Lord, the people shall all have their fill, and there will be leftovers. That means an abundance. So we are here, 12 baskets. Why 12? Why 12 baskets? Put on your exegetical goggles right now. We're going to get a little bit of theological. But the numbers are great. Yeah, 12 tribes of Israel, 12 disciples. It's not accidental. It is another way that Jesus adds another layer of meaning to the miracle, saying that and it would not have been lost on those around. You got the 12 apostles symbolizing the new Israel, and the meaning would not have been lost on those present, is that God is not stingy. He will always provide for his people, not just a sufficiency, but an abundance. There will be leftovers, whether it's in grace or whatever we need. You cannot outdo God in generosity. So what does that mean for us today? At a certain point, each of us has to decide. Again, another part of being a disciple as opposed to a consumer. Each of us has to decide if we are going to approach life with a spirituality of abundance or of scarcity. And it's critically important you make this decision, because I guarantee you, and from my own experience, having been a yuppie and having done a whole lot of other things in life, and then what I've been doing now, is if you approach life with a spirituality of scarcity, clinging desperately to what little you have, you will never have enough. Ever. Doesn't matter how much you have, it will never be enough. If, however, we make that little leap of faith, then I guarantee you, if we come to it from a theology, a spirituality of abundance, you will never want for anything. I'm serious about that. There is only one catch. You gotta bring the fish.